This is a fantasy-themed game of gathering cards and resources with the goal of being the first player to gather 5 crowns. But none of that matters, because what this game is really all about are these crazy cool dice tower miniatures. Can we really call them miniatures? It's got casual appeal and just enough meaningful decisions to keep many hobby-focused board gamers engaged, and a faux dexterity element that can be a lot of fun. The toy factor here is so off the charts that for younger children it's often hard to look past that towering aspect of Tar Wars, so why not just lean into it? If you're looking for a casual battle game with a whimsically unique battle mechanism, you should definitely take a peek at Tar Wars. There is a lot of fun to be had here.
It's a game called Tar Wars. Now, this is a prototype, so the box and the components might change, but Tar Wars is a game for between 2 and 6 players. You can play with kids aged 13 and up. Honestly, younger kids can figure this one out. Now, why is this called Tar Wars? It's the world is called Ta in this game, according to the rule book. But really, I think it's because it sounds like, if you say it fast, it sounds like you're saying towers and you're shooting dice out of these dice towers. If I keep picking on one player, their defense is getting stronger and stronger too. So it does become harder and harder to really target just one single player. You do kind of want, it's a clever rule that forces you to spread, well, it doesn't force you, but it encourages you to spread those attacks around. Some quests do allow you to increase your health so you can heal. You don't, most of the time, you don't get to keep those dice that you buy. You hang on to the 4-sided one, but if you're gathering or if you attack using a die, it's going to go back down onto your board and you're going to have to recruit that die again next time if you want to use it on every single turn. This is a dexterity game. You are using those visual motor skills, and visual motor coordination is important here because you're trying to kind of aim those dice as much as you can. There is that visual component and you're imagining, well, how are they going to come out of my dice tower when I drop them through. You're really shooting dice out of towers, which is kind of a fun thing to do. I've never tried to hit a particular target using a die, but there's also a little bit of resource management there too, right? You're gathering the resources in order to complete quests, to buy dice, and maybe to buy crowns. And boy, when the board is crowded with multiple towers, it does make things interesting. So it's not going to be everybody ganging up on one player in order to earn those crowns, which I think is really smart. I like that you kind of delay things by not being able to rotate your tower and move on the same turn, so you can be a bit strategic in trying to kind of get behind someone, and I like that. You know, it sort of takes away some of the tension of, do I want to advance my own quests or am I going to mess with the other players? Well, you're much more likely to try and mess with the other players when you've got 2 quests that you're working on. You can't discard them once you've taken them, so you're only discarding from that row that the other players can choose from. So that is kind of a fun mechanism too. But you know what a silly fun activity to involve yourself in, shooting dice out of towers and trying to hit your opponents. So thanks so much to the folks at Board to Death for sending Tar Wars.
Guys, and welcome back to another Unfiltered Gamer board game review. And today's game up on the tabletop is Tar Wars, the Dice Tower board game. Combat is very important in this game. Focusing on using your quest cards to beef up your attack or defense can be beneficial to you from A, preventing you from being targeted or attacked, and B, it's also a way for you to engage in combat a little easier. The quality of the game is very nice. These pieces for your cities are beautiful. They're wonderful. They look different. I love to paint these guys. The board itself is very straightforward. You understand what portions of the board are forest, which portions are water, mountain, crystals, and then your cities. And they're also outlined as well. So while it might be harder to see on camera, it's definitely easy to see when you're playing the game. Very step-by-step and understandably easy to play the game. 4 phases. Each phase is played interchangeably, either turn to turn or all at once, so it makes a quick, simple type of game with a unique dexterity aspect to it as well. I love these type of games that feels kind of like a dexterity / Warhammer style game. It's a lot of fun. It's kind of unique. I haven't actually seen a lot of games that kind of implement these type of genres where it's a little bit of resource management, it's a little bit of like that Warhammer tabletop type war game, and then of course you're playing with dice towers as opposed to Terminators or Tyranids. I like to mix it up on the occasion. I'm like, my rule of thumb is as long as it's positioning, you can kind of drop it in however you want. Because really with this game, it's never gonna give you exactly, no matter how much you try and cheese it, it'll never get you exactly where you want to go. So it's a lot of fun seeing players mess with their dice and their towers to kind of secure victory and then fail even still in the process. Overall, Tower Wars is a lot of fun. It's an enjoyable game with some cool art, it's vivid, it's straightforward and simple. This is great for families.
The world of Ta, verdant, fertile, rich in life and culture. Ancient races thrived on this world, building prosperous nations. Their natural affinities drew them to field or tree, to stone or sea. But such idyllic peace was not meant to last. Legend speaks of a cult of doom. Perhaps they summoned this mythical rain, perhaps they reveled in its arrival. We shall never know. The destruction scarred Ta with crystals. But amid the death, the pain and devastation, there was hope, wonder, magic. And as always, there was greed. Tempered in blood and fire, the races of Ta strive to secure their supremacy, trading gold for star-fallen crystals, mystically imbued crystals that can levitate the citadels. To war, sky and sea become one, feather and fin striving for dominance. Field and flesh, stone and bone, from the cinders of the old world a new is reborn. Through war, the living and the dead shall clash, a reckoning written across the planets by the star-fallen powers. Dare you take to the skies and join the others in Ta Wars.